There you go. Yeah, we got it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Celebrate with L.A. Williams. My name is L.A. Williams, and I am deeply, deeply honored to bring this very special episode. Today, we are celebrating the one and only Mr. Reza Salazar. Reza, thank you for joining us. Before I get into a deeper introduction of Reza, I want to say a few words about what Celebrate is and what it means to me before we get started. Celebrate, this series is a manifestation of a moment I had back in undergraduate school many years ago at Alabama State University. It was my first experience in the theater. It was the first time I was seeing a play, watching a play, the whole thing. And it was a production of a play called Phaedra, directed by Dr. Tommy Stewart. The play was written by Jean And, you know, I was what they call bitten by the bug in that moment. And I thought, oh my God, it was a transformative experience for me. But the thing that I also remember about that moment was that I felt this overwhelming desire to go and say thank you to everybody on the stage and everybody behind the scenes who made that project. And that really was the genesis of Celebrate. Me wanting to say thank you to people who had helped me learn something about myself, helped me to feel something. Cut to 2012, 10 years ago, I turned it into an actual interview series and started interviewing artists and talking to folks because I was also interested in these people's stories. Like, what is the journey of the folks who make this work that's so life-changing? And here we are in 2022, in the thick of a pandemic, or hopefully on the thin of it, moving through it, you know, as best and beautifully as we can. And I decided to go out a couple months ago just to go see shows in the city. I was like, let me go out and support all these amazing playwrights, actors, directors, and such. And that's when I came across Mr. Reza Salazar again. Okay, let me tell you. So my first time seeing you was in Laurie Woolery's production of The Tempest at the Public for the mobile unit. And it was brilliant. But nothing could prepare me for the experience I had of watching you in CLYDE'S. And that is why I wanted to have a conversation with you to, first of all, Reza, say thank you, brother. Thank you for blessing me and so many with your performance. It was absolutely incredible. Thank you. And I wanted to just tell you that, and I'm going to say it a million times today, but I also want to hear from you, and I want to just hold space for you and celebrate you.
Thank you so much. I mean, you're going to make me cry. This is really, really beautiful to hear the inspiration of this space that you are offering and creating and opening up. Just the desire of wanting to know someone's journey. We could get very distracted by this in this material plane when we see people's names on a playbill or success.
Yes.
We confuse sometimes success, and we forget that there was a journey.
There was a journey.
Exactly. Beautiful one, a beautiful path full of challenges and surprises and ups and downs that makes an artist, right?
Yes.
And sometimes we could get confused because we see what we think is success, that moment when we see a play, or the moment we see somebody on a television show or on a film or whatever, you know, and there's a beautiful journey. And I just love that you recognize that and wanted to do something about it, which is beautiful, right?
Thank you, Reza.
You took an initiative. You took initiative and you said, I am so moved. I am so inspired. What can I do as a member of this community?
Yes. Right? Yes.
And that's what theater is. To me, theater, someone asked me the other day, what's the difference between being on stage as an actor and being in front of a camera? And to me, the difference is that the audience is part of that journey with us.
Yes.
When we are in the theater.
Yes.
Right? I mean, this sort of call and response.
Yes.
We absolutely feel when people are moved, when people are laughing with us, when people are going, you know, we love those things because it really helps us move through the journey of the storytelling. And so that's the biggest difference to me. It's like we're doing it together when we're on stage, you know? And when we're doing something in front of the camera, we don't have that. We don't have that audience.
We don't have that.
You might see that finalized product maybe a year later, 6 months later. You know, we're not there. We're so, you know, we detach from.
That's right.
And the theater is immediate. It's happening
so immediate.
right there.
So present. Yeah.
There's something that magical that could happen, and only those people who are there on that day get to see it and witness it. And for us too, as actors, we're going through very similar, I would say similar journey, you know. You know, we're also feeling things when we're on stage, just like the audience is.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I love that.
And we're responding to the audience as well. It's
right.
Not that the audience responds to us. It's a constant communication.
Yes.
So what a beautiful thing that you see something on stage and realize have this thing come to you and you want to do something about it. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Reza, woo, child. Reza, let me tell you something. I'm good. I mean, like, I am already so full just from listening to you. Thank you. You have brought tears to my eyes and warmth to my heart. Thank you so much, brother, for those kind words and for seeing me. Thank you for seeing me. I knew my soul and my spirit wanted to have a conversation with you, and I already know why. So thank you infinitely. So what we like to do here on Celebrate is I like to kind of just start by celebrating the day you were born. Now, that question means a lot of different things for different people, but it's meant to sort of have you take us as far back as you possibly can to wherever you want us to go, and just kind of start there and just kind of give us a sense of your early upbringing or your earliest memory or wherever you want to go.
Yeah. Oh, man. Whew. That is going to open up some things for us today. But I hope to do it justice and be as open as I possibly can.
Absolutely.
I was born in South America. My father is from Peru. My mother is from Argentina. I lived in Peru until the age of 4.
Okay.
And then my parents separated, and my mother and I went to live in Colombia. This is all in South America. We went to Colombia, and in Colombia, we found ourselves alone, away from family. I was very young. I was 4 years old when we left, so a lot of things I did not understand. But obviously, I felt them. And once we were there, things were rough. And my mother is a very, very interesting and unique individual. Very strong. She was very young. So you can imagine we were very young together. You know, so we were growing up together. And you know, she was 19 when she had me, and so she was a young mother trying to also, I'm sure, figure herself out with a kid, raising a kid. So we were out in Colombia, and my mother came up with this plan to become clowns. We run out of money, I guess. We had to survive. And she came up with this idea of dressing up as clowns and making money that way. Now, mind you, I was 4 years old. I was maybe 5 at that time, and at that point. And I remember asking my mother, I said, "Mom, how did you come out? Like, what was that about? How did you have that idea of, you know, where did that come from? Because I know we don't come from a family of clowns. So how did you come up with that, you know?"
Yeah.
And she said, well, very simply, she said, I didn't have money for a babysitter, so I had to think of something to do together. And working together as clowns just sounded like the right thing to do, because I could bring you along. we can go together. And I said, okay. I was shocked, first of all, as how simple it was, because, you know, throughout the years, it had become this very complex thing. It has marked my life and my heart in many different ways, beautiful ways, challenging ways, difficult ways, heartbreaking ways, right? And because when you're so young, you're not really intellectualizing all of those things, right? You
Absolutely
are feeling all of those things, but a lot of those experiences don't come back to you until you're much older, right? So I went through a period of not telling anyone that I worked as a clown. I was ashamed of it, right? I went through a period when I will share with folks, and then people will be so amazed by it and moved by it, and I was so surprised by that, right? Because to me, it was survival. The whole time, it was survival, right? We weren't doing it to you know, we didn't go to any fancy clowning school, right? It wasn't something that we were doing for fun, or at the time, you know, I wasn't even sure what I was doing in terms of career-wise. I was just doing something with my mother in order to survive. So there were a lot of layers that came with that. And now it's something that I'm very proud of, you know, is I've recognized that clowning is at the core of everything I do, and is giving me a career, a beautiful one, where I'm constantly finding new things, surprising myself. I'm constantly surprising myself that I can do these funny things when I'm working on projects that need that, right? And for example, the Tempest that you came to see, I remember I was so afraid of Shakespeare. Very, very. I didn't think that Shakespeare was something for us. I didn't think that I was invited in the room to do Shakespeare. I didn't go to a fancy school. I didn't go to Yale or Juilliard or college. I just came straight from clowning in the streets to you know, taking a few classes at HB Studio right after high school. And I, you know, that's another. Well, we'll get into that. But I went to high school in Durham, North Carolina, and right after high school, I had to make a decision because I was undocumented at the time. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go to college. I wanted to, like all of my other friends and students that were around me who were already talking about, oh, I'm applying to this, I'm applying to that. I knew secretly that I wasn't going to be able to do that. And I also knew that my family, my mother, was not going to be able to afford it, right? So in terms of going to school, perhaps, and play and to pay international tuition or whatever the case, that was not in the cards for me. So I had to make a decision, and I said, okay, well, it looks like the government and the system is not going to support this, so I'm going to have to find a way to do it myself.
Right.
So I was so lucky that somebody in high school, my acting teacher, which she's still, you know, we're still close to this day. She came to see CLYDE'S, she came to see the Tempest, she came to see Oedipus of Raid at the Public Theater. She gave me a book. The book was Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting. I read the book and I was like, oh, where is this place? There's a little place in New York, you know, where you can go and take classes. And I was like, that's it. That's where I'm going. I know that I don't need to have the papers, you know, to go to the school. I can just sign up for a class, pay for it myself, and just try to make my path in that way. So that's what I did. Luckily, I got my papers in New York. Once I was here, right, I was able to work soon after I arrived in the city. But, you know, life took a different journey for me. It was a different way. I mean, there's no formula for this, right? But you know, but I knew that there were schools where actors could go, and that just wasn't available for me at the time. So, so it took a little while to be able to be proud to where I'm at right now, and tell you this story, or some things, some layers of this story that where I can say I'm very proud, even though it was very hard. It was very difficult. I working as a kid, working for kids that were my age, right? Was something that I had to deal with many years later. I'm like, man, I was working for kids who were my age. What does that mean?
Yes.
I was never really invited to the parties because I was working at the parties, and I remember being hiding in the room, getting ready with my mother, right? Putting the makeup on and putting the red nose, and hearing the kids playing and having fun outside, right? And not being able to do that because I was there for work, right? And I was there to entertain them, and then we will leave, right? So I remember so many. That was our bread and butter. We used to do, mainly we were hired to do kids' birthday parties. So but who wouldn't, when you're that young, life is just takes such a beautiful turns, right?
Yes.
Who would have thought that I was going to make a decision to become an actor? And who would have thought that clowning, for example, was in a way, indirectly or very directly, take me all the way to Broadway, take me to a room with people like Lynn Nottage, right? N.K. Wariski and Ron Cephas Jones, and be in the table with them, and each of us bring our own gifts and make something together, right? I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought that was going to be this difficulty was going to turn into something beautiful, right? Or this times when I didn't get to party with the kids and I wanted to so bad, was going to someday bloom into something such as, working with Lynn, working at the public theater, doing Shakespeare, because really I was able to do Shakespeare because of clowning. Really, that was the only thing that because I have made a decision. I said no more Shakespeare, because every time I go into those rooms, I get so scared. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't want to do Shakespeare until I take the time, and I don't know when that's going to be. But someday I'm going to have to take the time to study it. Right now, I'm not doing it justice, That's
right.
And if it wasn't for this particular production, directed by Laurie, as you mentioned, at the public theater, and close friends of mine who I was able to call, especially actors of color who in the BIPOC community, who I've seen do Shakespeare with such ease, and I was mesmerized by them. And I remember calling Chuck Woody, who I've seen do Hamlet.
He tore that shit up. He tore it up.
Exactly.
He tore it up.
I called Chuck on the phone and I say, brother, please talk to me about this Shakespeare thing. Why can't you? I'm so terrified. I'm so scared. He was shooting something in Toronto at the time. And he was like, Reza, I'm going to call you during a break. I'm shooting. I was like, great. He did. He called me during his break. And I thought we were going to work on the lines, and we didn't. He just told me about his experience with Shakespeare. He told me that it's not Shakespeare's fault. It's perhaps our fault that we are now in such a fast-paced community, and we're not paying attention to words as much.
Yeah,
right? Yes. And he was like, "This is just treated like any other story. This is any just other human story." Right? And it changed my life. I mean, that was a probably 20-minute call.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And I had him in my heart. I heard him in my mind when I walked into the room, right? I got Chuck with me in the room. And other close friends of mine that throughout the years have told me and helped me. And I didn't realize this, but it's like, you can do this. You can do this. You can definitely do this. I know that it's a little bit scary at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never really studied it, but you can do it. You know, I remember seeing Ron Stiffus Jones as well at the public.
Oh, yes.
Like 10 years ago or longer. It was a show. I can't remember if it was one of the Richards, and he was directed by Patricia McGregor.
Yes.
And I remember talking to Patricia about it. And I said, where did he study this? And Patricia said, self-taught. He taught himself. And I was like, you can do that? Can you do that?
You can do that.
I never forgot that.
Never.
Right? And let me tell you something. Ron Stiffus Jones is one of my favorite actors. And when I heard that we were going to be working together, I was over the moon. I was so happy, and I was so nervous that I was going to be in the presence of Ron. And then, we spent a lot of time together in the green room during those 2 show days. And Patricia told me that he taught himself Shakespeare, but she never told me how. And Ron loves to tell stories. If you're ever in the presence of Ron, he's just a beautiful encyclopedia especially of Black and Brown theater in New York, And it's just beautiful to hear him talk. And I remember thinking, oh my God, we gotta keep these stories. We can't lose the stories. We have to find a way to keep them. I think what you're doing right now is a beautiful way of doing that, right? I learned through storytelling.
Me too.
That has been my education.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And Ron will tell us stories, every time we were hanging out in the green room. And then one day he told me the story of how he got into Shakespeare.
Right.
And how he taught himself. And I almost had this beautiful, surreal experience that, over 10 years ago, Patricia told me that he taught himself. And for the first time, I saw a brown man on stage doing something so powerful and thinking and finding out that he did it himself.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that. And then years later, I'm working with him and he's telling me how he did it. He's telling me the story, relating the story to me, how that journey happened. It was so beautiful. I didn't want to interrupt him, so I didn't tell him this.
Yeah.
But I was just mesmerized and just so many things were at play at that moment. I was thinking about Patricia and so grateful to know her, right? And that I worked with her in a couple of productions, and I remember working with her in the basement of this building in Brooklyn, doing this chaplain piece that we wrote together and put together, after she came out of school, and then working with her at the public this last summer and doing Shakespeare Call and Response.
Oh, nice.
With Ron. All of those things sort of connected, and going back to what we said. Those difficult days, right? Those difficult times with my mother, when my mother desperately needed to find something to do together. And somehow found clowning. And clowning at that time, I didn't know what clowning was going to do and how it was going to influence my life, So that's where I come from, LA.
Reza? Child, okay, first of all, you are my soul brother. And I knew it, but now I really know it. Second of all, we have so many things in common. And I relate and connect with your story on so many different levels. One of them being growing up with a young mom. My mom was 17 when she had me. So I know what it's like to grow up with a parent. I know that experience. Obviously, very different paths, but I feel you. And you are speaking to my soul when you talk about that relationship and that connection. Also, my connection with Patricia McGregor. That woman has Whoa, I have no words. I have no words. I have no words.
Mm,
So I feel you there. I mean, I feel you on so many different things. Growing up poor, just, all of the
mm,
things, having to survive. I remember all that. I'm with you.
mm.
I want to ask a couple follow-up questions if I can remember. And forgive me, child, I've been crying the whole time because you are working on me. But I want to ask you, how many years would you say you and mom did the clown work together? Like, how many years was that total?
Oh yeah, that didn't stop until we moved to the United States. So
Mm,
we worked from the age, so I was 5 or 6
mhm,
until we moved to America. I was
mhm,
14.
mm.
So
Wow.
we worked all those years in five
Mm,
different countries because my
mhm,
mother couldn't stay put for some reason. She
mhm,
had to
mhm,
move
mhm.
around a
Yes,
lot.
yes,
So
yes, yes,
we
yes.
different
Figuring it out, figuring it out. She was learning.
figuring
She
it
was
out.
figuring it out. She was figuring it out
Exactly.
on her feet, literally.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
um, you mentioned Chuck Woody. I just want to take a moment for Chuck Woody. I mean, let me tell you,
Mm,
that Hamlet delivered me. You hear me? It
mm,
was one of the most brilliant productions and performances I have ever seen. So thank you again for bringing up that
mm,
beautiful conversation that you had with Chuck Woody. I mean, and for sharing with me and us what he
mm,
said. Just, oh my God. And then there's Ron, right? Like there's that
mm.
connection to Ron. Everything you said.
Just been so
Um,
lucky. I've been so lucky to
mm,
have to be in
mm.
the presence of this human beings, and we talk about Patricia as well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ron,
yeah, yeah.
and to see ourselves
That's right. That's right.
in
That's right.
them,
That's right.
and then to have access to them.
That's right.
I mean, Chuck, to be able to call me on his break, right? To
Yeah.
take the time
Mm,
to say I'm doing something really, he's working,
hmm.
and to respond to my text message and to call me right back.
Mm,
Um, what a beautiful thing to have, because I think a lot of us who
hmm.
come from these
Hmm.
experiences, who come from these communities, I don't have to
Mm,
name them, but it's the same.
hmm.
My community, I'm sure you're from, where are you from,
Cleveland,
LA?
Ohio, originally, but we
Cleveland,
moved
Ohio.
around. We moved around a whole lot when I was a kid, like
Right.
many different states, cities, the whole nine. So I can also
and
relate to
and
that
that's
part
what
about
connects
moving
us,
around.
right?
Yes, and that's what
Right.
connects
And
us.
then us
Absolutely,
people of color, right? Black and brown folks
absolutely.
from,
That's
we're the
right.
majority in the world.
That's right. That's
And
right.
we have these things that connects us, and whatever
Absolutely.
corner of the world we are, there's similarities, they're common
That's right.
denominators,
There are
right?
common denominators. Yeah, absolutely.
Things that we experience in the
Hmm.
world, and this
Hmm.
world that
Hmm.
sometimes we know is got its complexities, it's rough, it's difficult, it's
All of the
challenging,
things. Yes.
right? So to find these souls,
Mm,
this beautiful people
mm.
that we don't have to, we like you said, you see me, right? There's
Yes.
just that
Yes.
thing right there,
There's a seeing. There's a seeing. There's a knowing. There's a feeling. There's a connection. Absolutely. The other thing that I'm really just so blessed by in this moment is your honesty, first of all, about the fact that all of those different moments were what they were. Some not so pretty, some made more sense than others. But what I'm really struck by is just your ability and the way you are alchemizing those experiences and
mm,
taking them from what they were, which some of them weren't the most pretty, and turning them into something beautiful and
mm,
useful, and something that has something powerful,
mm,
something
mm,
that I love that you are in a place where you recognize that is your power, that is your beauty, all of that.
mm,
And I know, because I have been through some shit, Reza. I've been through some shit. I think a lot of
mm,
us have. And I am just now entering into that space where I'm able to look back and say, thank God mommy
mm.
had us moving around as much as we did, because that I had no idea, kind of like you, that moving around so much as a child would be would set me up for the life that I would live as an artist and as a traveling director and as a person who needs to be able to go into different rooms and relate to different people like we are right now. You know, like, I'm so grateful for all of that. And I just appreciate that in you, and I can feel it from you. And I think that's really, really important in the way of just inspiration and how do we keep ourselves going. I think it's important to be able to look at the journey, as we keep talking about, and find the power in it. And find the power in the light. So I mean, you know, I just have to say that, you know, so HB Studios happened, and then like talk to me about how you sort of entered into the professional acting world in New York. Like, what was that journey? What were the steps that you took after you decided, okay, I'm gonna really go after this professionally, whatever that means professionally, because you clearly have been doing it professionally for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I've entered this world of being a performer since before I knew it. I was doing it already as a kid, right? So I was already working as a kid with my mother. So to me, working as an actor, entertaining people, being hired to entertain and to tell a story was very normal. Normal. You know, it's what we did. So when I came to New York, and maybe, I mean, I was maybe a little bit naive, right? Because I had no idea about the unions and agents and managers.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just wanted to come to New York with my guitar and my drum and take classes at HB Studio and play music in the subway. And I thought somehow that was going to work out. It was going to work itself out somehow. And I was going to end up on Broadway. Like, I thought that was it. Or not even. I didn't even know about Broadway and off Broadway at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Just wanted to act. I wanted to... I had a lot in my heart, and I just needed to release, and I needed to connect to other people. I wanted to learn. I was thirsty to learn. So any opportunity I had to be in the presence of any artist, any storyteller, I would just open my eyes, make sure my ears were clean and available. And I was ready to
just absorb. Absolutely.
And, you know, and New York City was the same way. New York to me was a place that I wanted to come and learn and absorb. And really, I played music in the subway. That was one of my first gigs because I thought, what a great way to be closer to the city, to listen to people's stories all around me, to just be in the rhythm, right? To learn the rhythm of this place, and
to be in the rhythm.
Yeah. I love this.
Okay, I'm sorry, Reza. You are taking me over.
Sorry.
Oh my God, you are taking me over to be in the rhythm and to listen to the stories. And
I love this.
The thing that's so beautiful about all of this is that I somehow could feel everything that you are saying to me right now in your performance. In your performance in CLYDE'S, in your performance in The Tempest, I could feel the collection of all of these experiences and stories and these energies. And that's the thing that's so fucking powerful, Reza, is that somehow, even right now in this moment, you are embodying and containing and also able to share all of this incredible life experience. And that's the thing that made me say, I need to say thank you, first of all, for vibrating in a way that resonated with me on a very deep level before I even heard your story. That's what I'm saying. I could feel it. And now you're actually putting words to it and just making it all so clear. I hesitate to interrupt you because I can listen to you forever, but I just have to, when you talk about getting into the rhythm, when you talk about the openness and absorbing, that was absolutely how I entered into this city. I came here and I was like, let me just let me just be wherever I need to be to learn and absorb. I had no idea about Broadway or off Broadway. I heard about Broadway, you know, because I went to college and studied theater, but I had no desire to move to New York. And so when I got here, I was like, okay, I just wanted to honestly wait tables and just like get away from my last situation, right? And so anyway, and then people started kind of connecting me and telling me where to go and what to do. But anyway, I just love the way you're talking about all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because I feel when you said that you felt these things with my work.
Yes, I did.
That's all I have. You know, I have nothing but these stories. I have nothing but the journey with my mother growing up together. I have nothing but you know, being my immigrant story, right? Coming here as an immigrant, trying to learn, you know, different parts of myself once I enter this new place. That's what I have, and that's what I keep bringing to every role I do and every play I do.
Reza, I want to ask you, this word keeps coming up in my soul, and you keep saying it out loud, this word together. And I want to hear you talk a little bit about how you feel that togetherness that you and Mom had plays a role in your work now, or the way you connect with people now, or y'all's relationship, because there's this through line of like, we did these things, but we did them together. And I just want to hear you talk a little bit about the togetherness of all of that, and how you've been able to make that out for yourself now.
Togetherness, I mean, that's a very complex concept, and also very simple, I think, at the same time. It gets very very complicated in this American capitalist context. You know? And unfortunately, as you mentioned, my relationship to art, my relationship with creating something was always very communal. I started with my mother as a team, doing it together. And some of the best experiences I've ever had were with this word that you just mentioned, togetherness, right? Where there's a sense of unity, of oneness. You know, my every time I do something, I always look around the room, and I check for diversity. I was like, okay, let me see how diverse this room is, because I know that we have a diverse group of people coming together. That already is powerful, you know. So it gets a little bit complicated sometimes when we live in this, you know, capitalist context, where we feel like there's only one that could be the winner.
Absolutely.
Because some external group of people decide to welcome you or not into the club,
or not,
right? But I understand it, right? So I also understand that we all need to live and survive, and it gets a little bit complicated when we think that there's no other options, right? That this American capitalist culture only gives you this option. This is the only option.
It's the only option
where you can be successful,
right?
Where you know where we have to strive for fame, and that stuff has nothing to do with what we create. Has nothing to do with the art. It has nothing to do with the craft. It has nothing to do when we come together around the table to do that first reading of a play. We're not thinking about any of that stuff. We're just there,
none of it,
present, right?
That's right.
Listening, reacting to each other, looking into each other's eyes, and working together. You know, we know that we have to do it together. There's no other way. There's no other way. If one of the ingredients is not working well, it's not happy, it doesn't feel welcome, the play is not going to reach its full potential. Right? We know that.
We know that.
So yeah, I mean, and I think we are. I'm hopeful that this time in particular, this past 2 years, has given us time to think about those things, right? And I think it has, because it really, first of all, I at least I felt that there were more spaces to be able to express these things, which before it seems like they were very private things, or people kept them to themselves. All of a sudden, these things are coming out, right? Yeah. We have these very difficult chapters in our history with the murder of George Floyd, and then the pandemic, right? Very, very difficult tragedies, and then understanding how interconnected we are, how if somebody's suffering, even in our own country, but in the world, even in the world, right, on the other side of the world, that affects us, because it's not the world is our country, the planet is our country. We are citizens. It's not, you know what I'm saying? We got to take care.
We got to take care
of our, this is our country. It's the planet. It's the planet.
The planet.
So I think this realization of the oneness of humanity is becoming clearer and clearer. And yes, there were tragedies, and it was very difficult, and we're still dealing with it. But I am, I'm hoping that is opening up our eyes, and helping us be able to have these conversations.
I love that. Ooh, Reza. One more thing that I want to sort of tease out from your story that you shared earlier. You mentioned that you were often in the other room hiding, and you could hear other children playing, and you were there to entertain them. How can those of us who can relate to that kind of experience, where we were basically acting as adults when we were children, how do we find the play now in our lives? How do we find that childhood joy, that those missed opportunities? Like like how do you find the play in your life now? I mean, what are some of the things? Do you even think about getting some of those experiences back that you maybe didn't have as a child, or do you not think about it? Have you moved forward? Like, how do you find those childhood experiences? How do you give yourself those opportunities?
How do I give myself those opportunities? That's very interesting.
Now,
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think that will be possible in terms of as a kid, the things that you might have, that I needed when I was a kid. As an adult, it's just not going to be the same. That's just a reality, right? That I had that I had to face. But I think I remember when I was doing therapy for the first time in my life, and I had a wonderful therapist who was still close to this day, and nice. Really, really good friends. And she was wonderful. She said, Reza, I think we're going to work together very hard for a particular period of time. I want you to, I want our work to be an empowering one. I don't want you to think that you need therapy for the rest of your life, because sometimes the society makes you think that way, that you need therapy for the rest of your life, or medication, right? Like they put your medication right away without really having a clear assessment. And I'm not saying that there's some people that need medication.
That's right.
But she was saying that a lot of times, because of the way these institutions sometimes play out and work, some people get on medication without really needing to, or it's not very clear as to why. And this is somebody who works in those institutions. And so I was like, whoa, okay. She was like, so we're going to work together, and we're going to work in a way where you are on the driver's seat. You are dictating this.
Yes.
And and we're going to work together to heal. There is healing. Okay. There is healing available here.
Yes.
So, towards the end of it, she asked me, she said, okay, we're near the end of our work together. I think that you're in a good place. I'm not saying that those fears and you know, nightmares or things that happen through trauma are not going to come back to you. Those triggers will be there, but you will know what to do with them. You will know what to do with them. You will know that you need to take a break. You need to breathe in. You know what to do. You can call somebody. Right? But she asked me if you can go back to your kid. Right, to your child, Reza, and don't tell me like something in a way realistic, because it's not realistic that you're going to be a child anymore. You're not, right?
True.
But if there's something that you could ask that that you think that child would need, that Reza child would need, not an object, because that's not possible, or to be, you know, just something realistic in a way. She said it much better than I did right now. I'm paraphrasing it.
Absolutely.
But I understood it.
Yes.
What could that thing be? Just remember, we're not going to be able to become kids again, right? So it's like something. And I thought about it for a second, and I said, I want somebody to ask me how I'm doing, to ask me if I'm okay. Because I felt like when I was a kid, so many things were happening. So many decisions that my young mother was making, or other adults around me.
Yes.
And no one ever asked me, are you okay?
Yeah.
How are you doing? Right? So she said, great, because that's something that you can take with you now, right? You can create and make spaces where that is welcome, not only for yourself, but for others. That you can recognize in others, are you doing okay? Maybe that's the only thing, that's the only question you need to hear. Right? So that's one thing I hope that that's somehow answers your question. But
Absolutely, it does.
That I take with me, that I perhaps needed as a kid.
Absolutely.
Didn't have it, but I can have it now. And in a way, that is healing that child's part of me, right? Because I can do it now.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you this with as much sensitivity as possible. Do you feel, and please do not answer this if you don't want to, do you feel like you're able to find joy, fun, play in your work now? Or does it somehow still feel like work? Are you able to find the play and the fun when you're making the work, when you're doing the work? Does it feel like whatever your idea or my idea of kids playing on the playground, having fun, the things that we maybe didn't get as children that we can't ever get back? Do you feel like you're able to access some of that fun and play in your work now? Or does it feel like not that? It feels like something else?
Oh, completely. At the moment I have this, I mean, the most vivid memory I have right now is CLYDE'S, right? And coming together with, I mean, I love Lynn, I love Kate. I have been so honored and so lucky to be in rooms with them. I've grown so much as an actor in this past 5-6 years with them. And you know, somebody like Lynn, who's so intelligent and I don't even have the word for Lynn. She's just everything. So
everything.
Smart, so sensitive, so just powerful, so beautiful. When you're in the room with her, it's just like, oh my God, I'm in the presence of someone very important, you know, but yet she's so open and accessible. I was just so lucky that she welcomed me in these rooms. And so to answer this question, I have something very, something that I've been thinking about a lot, because as I have been coming back, you know, after this 2 years, it's been hard for everybody. we were all very happy and felt extremely grateful to be able to be back on stage. That's just, I think, universal for all of us.
Totally.
Right? We realized we never knew that this was going to happen in our lifetime. Right? We were going to now be able to be on stage, to be with people. I mean, who would have thought that in 2019, right? So we were all in a different place for sure. As human beings. So that was already there. That was very palpable. But when I think about my experience with Lynn, with Kate, I, as an actor in different other spaces, and I never felt like I was hired to not only act, because I knew I was hired to, that's my job, to act and perform. But I never felt like I was welcome to share a little bit beyond that. For example, when you sit on a table and you're dissecting a play and you ask questions and you might give your opinion on certain things in the context of working the piece, right? I never thought that I was welcome to do that. So I was very quiet. I didn't think that I could. I didn't think that I had the words. I didn't think that I was eloquent enough or welcome to do that, because I didn't go to school, so that was always in my head. I don't know if I can. I never study. I don't know how to make notes and ask questions about certain scenes. All of those things that I didn't know. I didn't allow myself to do. I didn't think I had permission to do, or didn't give myself permission to do.
That's right. That's right. That's it. Yeah.
With Lynn and Kate, all of that changed. For the first time, I felt like I was welcome to do that. Yeah. And in my own way, because I don't, perhaps like we were, how we started this conversation, I told you that I learned through storytelling. So a lot of the things how I learned something, that process to me has storytelling, right? I tell a story about, like, I'm reading a script and I'm like, oh yeah, I have a story about this. Right. And that helps me understand.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's not very intellectual perhaps, but it's through experience. So I never thought that the experience was welcome in a setup like that.
Yeah.
Where you have the cast, the artistic director who seems very smart and very mighty. I didn't know that my process and how my way of looking at education was welcome in this space. Yes. So having somebody like Lynn, who is so, all of those things that we just mentioned, and also loves to tell stories. Yeah. Lynn is an amazing storyteller, and she's constantly, connecting to her life stories and pulling from life stories and drawing from life stories. And I was like, what? Lynn Nottage does this? And Kate too. She's constantly, and that's how we dissected those plays, through storytelling and life stories.
That's it. Yeah. And life stories.
And it was incredibly empowering, because to be able to be in the presence of people like this, who have also been through, teachers at Columbia University, but also understands this process. Man, it was empowering. So now, I allow myself to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And removing those blocks, removing the things that make us feel like, or make us think that we can't have our process in a room. I think I speak for
Shakespeare. I can
same thing with Shakespeare.
I'm reading Shakespeare and now I'm like, listen, this is how my Diaz
exactly.
This is how it sounds to me.
Exactly.
I want to put this flavor into this Hamlet, or into this Trinculo in the Tempest. Like,
absolutely,
this is how I feel it.
This is how I feel it.
It's okay,
Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
To bring our rhythms to it. Yeah.
Exactly. And we know that our people were telling stories way before Shakespeare.
Way before. Exactly. And Shakespeare Shakespeare is grateful to have our rhythms and our stories and our storytelling and all the things. I mean, I think I speak for Shakespeare when I say that. And I also think I speak for Lynn and Kate and all the people that we've mentioned that you named when I say, just as I'm sure grateful as you were to be in the room with them, I know they were just as grateful to be in the room with you, Reza. You know, and because like, as you just said, clearly they understand that the best education is life experience, and you have a wealth of that. And I pray that you continue to lead with your stories and your storytelling and your wealth of knowledge, you know, because the books and stuff are cute. Yeah, it's cute. You know, and I think just like we live in a very capitalistic society, we also live in a society that teaches us that the only way to know something is through the mind, through the books and learning and thinking. But they don't talk a lot about experience.
Right.
And feeling and going through and the heart and embodying and being in your body and having lived through some shit. Right. So thank you on behalf of all of us. You've already mentioned CLYDE'S. I mean, you know, I saw that a couple weeks ago or months ago. It was the Friday before closing, and y'all rocked my world. I thought your performance was absolutely everything that I'm feeling from you right now. It was alive in all the ways. It was heartfelt. It was dynamic. It was physical. Y'all tore me up. Y'all wore me out, Reza. The work was very physical. Stunning. Very physical. Very physical. It was very, very intense. And I thought just muscular work all together, all around. And Lynn, I just have to give another shout out to Lynn. You know, that play beautiful. Is so perfect for right now. It is inviting us to think on a whole nother level about who we are and what we have to offer and how we see ourselves. And I thought you all, the entire cast, was extraordinary. And that is, again, one of the reasons why I wanted to say thank you to you. So congratulations. Was that your Broadway debut? I
had understudied on Sweat. I didn't get to go on.
Okay.
So that was my first time, I guess, being exposed to Broadway.
Yeah.
But I consider this my Broadway debut. Sure.
And baby, you make a debut? You made a debut. Do you hear me? You made a debut, Reza. I mean, anyway, you know, I want to carve out a couple moments. So I was thinking about this a couple nights ago before I started doing the interviews. I wanted to ask my guests this season to just talk to me about some of your favorite things, like just in the spirit of like lightness and fun, and like, what are some of the things you enjoy? Like, if you had an episode of like Reza's favorite things, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite city? What's your favorite song? Like, just favorites.
Oh man, my favorites. Let's see. I love good coffee. I love a good book.
Yes.
Coffee and book, the combination of the two things is something I look forward to a lot. I love good walks. I live in Washington Heights. So we live near some really beautiful parks. So I love doing that. I love music. All types of music. But if I have to choose a favorite, and this is something that me and Ron connected a lot, is jazz. I love jazz. So that would be my genre, right? Even though I like all types of music, genre wise is jazz, and all types of jazz. Like there's Afro-Cuban jazz, Afro-Peruvian jazz, you know, and the classics, the Miles, Monk, Coltrane. I can just have that all day. And so I love music. I'm also a musician, so I love playing music. I have my percussion in the house, my guitar. So I secretly write music from time to time. I love to write as well. I've been writing a lot about these experiences that we're talking today. Is somewhat still a little scary for me to write, to be honest. I enjoy it, but then I have to stop. Okay. I have to give myself some time to move. I don't know how to continue and to move past certain things and or through memories and experiences. So but I love it. You know, I think it's like acting. You know, acting is really scary. To this day, to me, I am so terrified to to get on stage, and and I always think, when I was getting better actually, but until a couple of productions ago, I used to be like, right before getting on stage, and I used to think, why do I do this to myself? God, please let me run away. Let me, like, can I talk to somebody, stage manager, and tell them like I have like a bug, I have like, my stomach is hurting, I can't get on stage. Like I will like fantasize all of these scenarios to get myself out of that experience. And then, you know, you get on, obviously you can't do that. I never done that. I never followed through that one. I ended up going on stage and getting on stage, and then you're just flying, right? To me, one of the reasons why I love acting is because my mind, my heart, and my body connects. Is the only thing where those three things become one.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm thinking, I'm feeling, and I'm moving at the same time. And there's nothing like it for me. When I'm writing, I'm connecting to those two things, but I'm not moving. I'm on my chair. I'm sitting behind, and you know, at one point I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go for a run. I can't take this. You know what I'm saying? It's same with music. With music, I'm connected with my voice, and connected with things, but I'm not moving. I'm moving in a different way, right?
Absolutely.
But with acting, I'm like, all of those things just orchestrate really beautifully for me. And I'm not thinking about anything else.
That's right.
Anything else.
That's right.
But the work. So I, you know.
And you see, and I saw that, Reza. I saw that, Reza, in CLYDE'S. I really saw it, brother. I'm not, I got to keep hammering it in. As I learn, as I listen to you, I'm learning, I'm able to piece together what I experienced in your performance. And flight is a good word to describe what I saw.
Yes.
Happening with you on stage. You were in alignment, as you're talking about. I could feel the alignment. And it invited me to check in with my own alignment. And more than just the alignment, there was a beautiful sort of ascension and takeoff, and a beautiful smooth landing that I experienced. It was just like a beautiful flight. And so I'm glad to hear you talk about I'm glad to hear you talk about that, because it gives me a way to kind of describe what I experienced and what I saw happening on that stage with you.
And that's only, I'll have to say that's only possible, like really, really possible when you have when you trust your team.
Yes,
right?
That's right. Yeah.
As you mentioned, The Tempest was one of those examples.
Yes.
Working with Patricia is another one.
Yeah.
And then obviously CLYDE'S. We just really respected and loved each other to be able to let go in that way on stage.
Because it has to be, that's very, very important. Ain't nobody gonna be flying and jumping off and fall, you know, that thing when you fall backwards in somebody's arms. I need to trust everybody around me. It's such a stunning point. It's such a stunning point. Another thing we have in common, Reza, is, I don't know if you know, but I directed Measure for Measure for Mobile Unit, which was right after your, I think, The Tempest. So we have a mobile unit connection too. And I just want to shout out Public Theater's mobile unit. Is
this the one? Was it wait a minute. Measure for Measure. I saw this. All female production?
That's right.
Was it?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All Black female production.
I saw this.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad.
That was
Thank you so much. I'm glad. And that was my real introduction into Shakespeare. And so I connect with you on all the things you said about Shakespeare, especially, you know, really owning it and bringing your full self to it, and what those women were able to do in that production, and the support we had to create it. So anyway, thank you. But I wanted to just shout out Mobile Unit and also make that connection.
Mobile Unit.
We have that. Absolutely. Roxana, all of the folks, Karen Ann
Daniels. Karen Ann Daniels, who I love dearly.
All the amazing folks. Listen, I'm going to wrap this up because I can talk to you forever. I have 3 quick little questions that I always like to ask people at the very end of these interviews. What does it mean to you to be celebrated? What does it mean to you to be celebrated?
Oh my God. Such a great question, Sally. What does it mean for me to be celebrated? Oh my God. I just never, I honestly don't think about celebrating me without my community. It just, I seemed so, I just don't think about that. I'm not big on birthday parties myself either. I don't like to celebrate my birthday. You know, I just like to get a cup of coffee and a book and just, you know, quietly acknowledge that happened. But to celebrate, what does it mean? What does it mean? That's a very good question, though. That's a very good question, because I can say maybe what brings joy to my heart. That's the best way I can think of it.
Love that.
You know, what brings joy, you know, for example, at the beginning of this conversation, you said what the inspiration behind this, which you went to see the work of actors on stage, and that moved you. And by being moved, you wanted to open up these spaces. That brings me joy beyond an award, or beyond, well, you know, whatever recognition out there. The fact that somebody recognized something that I do in this level brings me joy. So this to me is a celebration, right? That you are interested in that journey, that you are interested as to how I got here.
Yes.
Because I remember when the narrative changed for me. It was very interesting. I've always been the actor who have been very lucky to be working off Broadway and off Broadway, and clowning, the clowning stories, the immigrant stories. And that's always my narrative, right? And I've always been like, I'm working hard, I'm working through it, I'm working hard, I'm pushing forward. And then I got Broadway. I got the Broadway gig. And I remember talking to somebody who was listening to me, but not really listening to me. And then said, okay, great. But now you made it. And I'm like, I made it. I'm like, I never thought of it that way. And it was eye-opening and a little bit unsettling, because the narrative changed. My narrative has always been perhaps trying to, whatever make it is, but I was always on the trying mode. And I don't feel like anything has changed for me. I'm still, I'm still there.
Absolutely.
So for somebody to have that, to I guess see that even before I did, and I'm not saying that's the truth, because I don't think that's a reality at all.
Right.
But in their eyes, that's what happened. But like, you went through that, but now you're here. You made it. You're on Broadway. And I thought, interesting that people, you know, in this context, will pick on those things, or will choose to see that. So I didn't feel celebrated, I will say, at that moment. And so this makes me feel like I'm being celebrated, right? Because I know that this is the case for a lot of us.
That's right. That's exactly
it's
right.
It's not just my story. It's not just my story, where we're all. That's right. So to me, to be able to recognize that, to be able to feel safe, that's a way of celebrating, like how we were talking about being in the room with Lynn and Kate. I felt really safe. And by being in that environment where I felt safe, I was able to grow. So celebration means growth to me. You know, it's not about the acolytes. It's not about the awards. It's about growth. If I have grown, if there's a moment of transformation, there's a moment of growth, then that's a good celebration.
If there is a moment of transformation, if there is a moment of transformation, a moment of growth, if you feel safe.
Then
what or who
you're celebrated.
What or who do you celebrate?
What or who do I celebrate? I recently got married.
Congratulations!
It is going to be 5 years.
Wow.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it. In April, I celebrate this union a lot. I celebrate the fact that we recognize in each other that we wanted to be together. We wanted to support each other, but that we're also are going to continue to change and transform in this life.
Yes.
I celebrate that every day, because we have an understanding that almost 5 years ago, we met and we were in the presence of versions of ourselves, and we love that version of ourselves, but that we are going to continue to evolve and continue to change and continue to transform, and that we have to respect that in each other, and that we have to be okay with that, and we have to support that. So I celebrate change, I celebrate transformation, you know, and I see that in my union. I see that with my wife, that we you know, and it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yes, of course.
That's also, we have to understand that.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Changes and transformations are not easy.
Not always cute. Absolutely.
Exactly. But we know that we made that commitment. We made that commitment to respect that. So I celebrate that very, very much.
And last question. Ooh, Reza Child, you have worn me out. You've worn me out. I can't take it. I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed. And finally, what do you do to celebrate you? You know, like,
what do I do? That's a good question. What do I do to celebrate me? I love to work. So there's something that I heard that I can't share yet, but I'm very happy that I will let you know soon when it's finalized.
Yeah.
But I am very I'm just happy to work, and I don't mean only, I mean, this, we're talking about for the context of this program, but I think you've also made the invitation to life in general.
Absolutely.
So I don't mean just work, not just work as an actor in my profession, but also work as a human being.
Yes.
Right? So when I know that that I've learned something as a person, as a soul, and it's difficult, because let me tell you, change, as we just said, it's not easy, and it requires it's an individual journey as well as a community endeavor, right?
Yes.
With our friends, with our family, with our trusted ones.
Absolutely.
Whether you're in close proximity or not. We're all interconnected.
We're all in it together and interconnected. Right. Absolutely. So true.
When there's a moment where I feel like I've been struggling with something, and then I realize what it is. And if the magical, beautiful moment of change happens, even though I know change needs to be sustained. So I don't think of change happening overnight. There's something that you have to sustain, and you might fall and you get back up again. But the recognition of that, of something that I've been struggling with. Sometimes it's in my own mind, like the negative thoughts or fears or whatever it is. And then I think about it, and then I realize where it comes from. I celebrate that. I celebrate me, because I'm like, oh man, now I know where at least I have an awareness as to why this is coming to me, or this keeps coming to me. I have an awareness, and I like to celebrate those moments, you know, because I know that is what's going to sustain us in the long run. If I'm not mentally healthy, if my heart is not healthy, you know, I'm not going to be able to do the work that I love so much, and that we all love so much, right? Because it's also you're not just creating work and entertainment for others, but you are coming into the presence of other human beings. And crossing paths with other human beings. So you want to give your best, right? I mean, I want to name all of them: Carrie Young, Edmund Donovan, Ron Cephas Jones, Uso Aduba, Lynn and Kate, and everyone else that were around us. These are souls, right? And it is our honor to be in their presence. And now, you know, Karen and I, we've become friends, and also with Edmund, and also with Ron, at different levels and different degrees, whatever, you know, it's going to continue to evolve. We might cross in each other's paths again and work again or not, but we have done something together, and we have been in the presence of each other, and hopefully brought joy to each other, you know, as we did this work. So I celebrate that very much, because I'm going into a production, and I'm not just thinking about, and I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, I think about the work and the scripts. You know, I take my time reading the scripts that come my way, or the projects that come my way, obviously. But I'm excited about the people who I'm going to meet.
The people, the
you
souls,
know, I'm
the
like,
souls.
man, these souls are gonna come into this room.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And I want to celebrate. I'm gonna hopefully make new friends.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be connected for the rest of our time on this earth.
Yes, on this earth.
There's no other way out, right? We came together.
No other way
we're always
out.
gonna remember we did this together.
We did a thing.
And you're never gonna forget that, you know. So in order to really create those beautiful experiences, you have to come in. I'm not saying come in perfect, because no one is perfect, but at least we have to come in with a desire to give the best that we can, right?
Reza, I will never forget this moment. I will never forget this moment. I will never forget this conversation. I will never forget your story. I will never forget your performance in Clyde's or in The Tempest. Shout out to Dan Dominguez.
Yes.
Brilliant.
God, I was just doing a reading with him.
I just love Dan, the beautiful Dan.
Happy. Oh my God. I told my wife, I said, Dan, it's coming on Zoom. We're going to do this reading, and I cannot wait. And it was just the two of us, of course.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It was beautiful.
I will never forget the connections that you and I share and that we made today. And I'm just blessed. You are a blessing, Reza. You are a gift. You are a light. The world is a better place because your soul is here. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that you took time to sit with me and share space. And I really have no other words, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I feel so blessed to be able to say to you in this virtual space and feel your energy, and hopefully you feel mine, and say, thank you, brother. Thank you for everything you do. I'm always holding you, praying for you, wishing for the best, and just God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reza.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. This is a beautiful way to really celebrate life, to celebrate what we do.
Thank you.
Right, to celebrate not just the beautiful, but also the ugly and challenges.
That's right.
Because you know, because that's what makes us who we are.
Worth celebrating too. That stuff is worth celebrating too. And I'm I'm just so glad that you understand that and have shared your journey with me today.
Thank you so much. And we gotta meet in. We've been in spaces in person, but now that we did this and things are getting better out there.
Yes,
we gotta come back and
we will. And we'll do this again. We'll have another conversation, because you and I already see you are a spiritual teacher, and as am I. And I think that we have a lot of back and forth that we can continue to kind of just share. So thank you so much, Reza. God bless you. I love you, brother. Take good care now.
Much love. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.